Hi y'all, Seven Antonopoulos with the Metal Wine Guide. I'm at the Port of Leonardtown Winery here in Leonardtown, Maryland, just about an hour and a half south of Washington, D.C. Today I'm speaking with winemaker Lauren Zimmerman. We're going to get a behind-the-scenes look at the winemaking process and discuss the unique aspects of this region as well as the canned wine industry. Check it out. Hey y'all, this is Seven Antonopoulos with the Metal Wine Guide, and I am here with Lauren Zimmerman at Port of Leonardtown Winery here in southern Maryland. And we are going to try some wines today. We're going to learn a little bit about this winery, the history, and talk about canned wine. So, Lauren, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming by.
So, can you tell us a little bit about Port of Leonardtown Winery? The history, there's a co-op style of growing that you guys are utilizing that's pretty unique, I think. And so if you just want to we can dive in with that.
Sure, absolutely. So I started here in 2015, and it's definitely a unique venture, to say the least. Port of Leonardtown, like you mentioned already, it's a cooperative. So we're owned and operated by 13 different grape growers, which is pretty cool. We're one of the only cooperatives in the U.S., so it's kind of neat, but it's essentially 13 small vineyards came together, and they all didn't want to open up their own wineries. And it's an expensive venture, obviously. So they came together to form the cooperative and then open in 2010. And 10 years later, here we are. So it's pretty cool. It makes my job interesting though, because essentially I have 10 different bosses that like to pop in and tell me their input. But essentially they bring all the grapes here and we process, and everything goes under the Port of Leonardtown label. So once they drop off the grapes, they leave it in my hands. They don't have say what goes where and how it's blended. So that's kind of nice on my part. But it's a blessing and a curse because like I said, it's kind of a pain having so many different inputs from it's nice because I have such a variety of grapes to work with. So we have over 30 grape varieties, where most wineries would have like 7 varieties in their back field.
Or at least less than 10.
Yeah, exactly. So I have so many options when it comes to blending that we can blend until it's like the perfect concoction, which is a good reason why a lot of our reds have been so successful and gold medal winning, and because I feel like we have like super blends.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really cool. And what's interesting too is that this region is relatively new for winemaking. It was, you guys, basically the area that we are in now, I mean, it was traditionally tobacco farms.
Yeah,
right? So
exactly. Yeah, and actually some of our grape growers were former tobacco growers.
Oh, wow.
And there was a government buyout that actually paid the farmers to rip out their tobacco, promised never to grow it again on the farm, and then the government gave them money to plant something else. And of course, what are you going to plant but the new and exciting crop, which is grapes, wine.
Right,
yeah.
and the weather is suitable, and the terrain.
Although this year has been a little bit interesting. We always seem to get the hurricane threats, and actually
I wanted to dive into that as well, because Leonardtown here, the Port of Leonardtown Winery, they've had to deal with Hurricane Isaiah, if I said that correctly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yes. And so it's been, 2020, between pandemic, if we can say that, between just weather phenomenon and all that kind of stuff. How have you guys, it's a bad pun, but weathered that storm and basically, from what I understand, you guys had, you were underwater here, basically.
Literally, yeah. So we had a flood of 4.5 feet of water in our building. So it was pretty devastating.
Where we are now?
Well, in this portion of the tasting room and the tank room, it was 1.5 feet of water. Our storage building, where we store a lot of our barrels and cased goods, were 4.5 feet underwater. So it was pretty devastating. We had to close down for 3 weeks just to renovate, tear out walls. We didn't have power. Wow. It was a mess. One of the main things I wanted to dive into was canned wine. Canned wine.
How did that decision come about for you guys? You personally, Lauren, as a winemaker, how's it been received by over 800 club members that you have? And have you seen an uptick in interest?
Yeah, overall, I would say definitely positive feedback. Everyone loves the can. It was 2018 when cans really started to explode and become really popular. We released our first canned wine in 2019, which is our Kraken Mac, which is a bubbly apple wine. So it kind of caters to like cider drinkers, beer drinkers, that kind of thing.
Right.
And it was tough when I first proposed it to the board. Our winery is ran by the cooperative board.
Okay.
And they're all old traditional farmers, of course. So they looked at me like I was absolutely insane that to put wine in a can. Like they just never heard of it. They are not, in on the latest trends, to say the least. But yeah, they thought that everything should be in a bottle, traditional. They didn't even like screw caps. We do a lot of screw caps for our light aromatic white wines or rosé, that kind of thing. But that was even a tough transition for these guys. So you can imagine cans would be a little more shocking.
Like,
yes.
No.
And it's funny because I went to a pretty big wine shop in the area. That's pretty, they carry a lot of the good stuff. And I asked them, I need canned wine to show my bosses that this is like a real thing that people want. And the owner of the wine shop looked at me like, you're mistaken. There's no such thing as wine in a can. This was 2018, and I'm like, just blown away that they weren't even aware of it. But yeah, of course now they have wine by the can in their shop, but that's just how new it was. And but yeah, the first wine that we did 1,500 cans, so just a small release.
Okay, so initial run of 1,500.
Yep, 1,500, and just as an experimental thing, and it sold out in 2.5 weeks.
Okay.
So it was, needless to say, a hit, and people were demanding more. And so this year I wanted to try rosé because, of course, rosé is a summer kind of drink,
Of course.
And cans are great for the beach and, concerts and venues like that. Tailgating, absolutely, yep. Boating, hiking, biking, all the fun things you do right here in Southern Maryland. And it's so it was a no-brainer to do the rosé.
Okay, so that was the follow-up, was the rosé. Yep. And just real quick, y'all. The Kraken Mac is 11% ABV, so of course a lot higher than a beer or a traditional cider. And you look at these cans, this is actually 2 glasses of wine. You think of 12 ounces, 33 centiliters, that you drink a beer and you're like, oh, that's a beer. But this, a lot of people don't realize, when you go into a restaurant, or Lauren and I are going to sit here and we're going to have a glass of wine, that's going to be pretty much, depending on your bartender and your pour, it's going to be 5, in between 5 and 7, ounces. So this is actually 2 glasses of wine. That's just something to think about when you're at the store, when you're shopping. That you get a 4-pack. That's in essence 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah, it's deceiving because it is, like you said, literally half a bottle, 375 mils, half a bottle. So people just automatically assume it's a single serving. And we had one of our club members the first time, he came in and bought a couple cans of the rosé, and he was mowing his lawn. And he said when he was all done and he got off after drinking the rosé, he fell over because he didn't realize that the alcohol was so high, and he just connected it with having 2 beer. But realistically, it was like having 8 beer. So yeah, they say that the wine market is right now 2% or 3%-ish of the cans take up the wine market, but they anticipate it going up towards 20% of the wine sales to be in cans. And just like the craft beer industry, close to 30% of their products is all through cans.
It's all through cans. And that's been a slow process, but now it's more pronounced.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Huge, beer guy as well.
Yeah.
You notice it. And it's becoming.
It's just the norm, really. Yeah, you see less beer bottles and more.
It really is.
These little guys. So, do you want to taste it?
Well, I was going to ask you, how would you describe as we're tasting here?
Yeah,
because I'm stoked to try it.
Crack.
To be honest, anytime we can try wine, we're in.
Yeah, twist your arm, right?
But how would you describe as we're tasting here the flavor profile as far as
so if you can see,
rosé, and it's 12% ABV.
You can get a little glimpse of the sparkling in there. It's got a little bubble. It's not a full-on sparkling, but it just kind of has a little bit of a spritz to it, which makes it a little more refreshing. And definitely has that strawberry, melon, very typical rosé characteristics.
Right.
Well, cheers. Thanks for coming again.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And the color, I just absolutely love the pink
and not
color.
overly sweet.
No,
You know what I mean?
so this one's dry, so like
Super
zero
dry.
sugar. And that's another thing that I'm trying to, push is more on the drier wines,
Right.
which I think millennials, the younger crowds appreciate. They don't want
Right.
the super sugary, cloyingly sweet. I mean, dry wine's better for you, less calories, so that's
Mm-hmm.
always a plus. And then that little spritz just makes it all the more refreshing and
Of course.
food friendly. So
What? Okay, so this is a blend, obviously. Can we touch on like what grape varietals you actually use for this particular blend?
yeah, so it's actually it's not a blend; it's a single grape variety.
Oh,
so
single
it's,
grape. Okay.
Yep, it's Chamberson,
Okay.
which is a red grape. It's actually the most widely planted grape variety in Maryland. It does phenomenal here.
Okay.
And I do 4 different wine styles. So I'll do a sweet red, our dry reserve red, barrel aged, and then a port style, all using Chamberson grapes, and then the rosé as well. So
Okay.
it's super versatile grape,
But this is
really
killer.
fruit forward.
Could go with
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so-
It's we were eating it with like salmon and it's grilled chicken. You can go anyway with the
Well,
rosé.
I wonder what your take on this would be, because, guys drinking wine. I mean, we all love wine and stuff, but there has always been, and I'm not going to date myself with my age, but there's always been this kind of connotation when it comes to rosé. And even
the ladies'
even
drink?
even in the service industry, even in, you grow up, you're working in the service industry, restaurants and bars and all that stuff. There's always this kind of thing with rosé. And as an adult, as an older guy now, I'm kind of like, it's just the color, because the flavor profiles are there.
Yeah.
The body and you get that tiny little bit of sweetness. Anybody who's gonna like a sour beer or a gose, or German style sour, or a regular, name a cider, are gonna enjoy this if you can get past the whole
Pink.
rosé thing.
Hey, confident guys drink rosé.
True.
That's what I think.
That's true. But I don't know what your take on that is. But that's
Yeah,
just,
no, I find guys love the rosé. I feel like maybe, like you said, in the past, it's been kind of like the blush is for the ladies because it's sweet. People take it less seriously. But now rosé is like, you're finding a lot more dry rosés.
Right.
And
I'm just
it's,
pounding this. Sorry. y'all.
yeah, no, it's a compliment.
Quick side question. Is there like, can you explain the difference between like the kind of rosés you're doing in the can versus the kind of rosés that you're bottling? Because obviously you have your profile, your portfolio, and so is there a big difference between canning a rosé versus like say bottling a rosé,
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
or any varietal for that matter?
Yeah, so again, the aging process in the can. So you want to do like the drink now kind of wines.
Right.
But our rosé in a bottle is slightly different. It does have a little bit more sweetness to it.
Okay.
So we wanted to do something more on the dry side. So that's what we did with the canned version. But it's we're gonna do the sparkling apple again next year, or for this vintage. We're gonna do that in the can. So
Okay, interesting.
switch it up
Same
again.
name?
Crack and Mac, yep.
Crack and Mac?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
so that's going to be for that particular, so
Yep.
that model. And that leads me to my next question. Do you have any future plans as far as like experimenting with different varietals, as far as canning goes?
Yeah, I would love to have more cans, and it's
Just like
more
anything
cost.
in the back of your head?
Oh yeah, I'm always thinking like we're doing a Sauvignon Blanc,
Okay.
fermenting it right now, and I was just thinking like that would be
Awesome.
amazing in a can.
Of course.
And restaurants love the cans because you're not opening a whole bottle to do by the glass, and you're not ending
Right.
up wasting a bunch. So
Right.
we've had some questions from the local restaurants about getting our cans in. So it's
Right.
I'd like to do more, but we'll see.
And from a price point, you get that, you get that 4-pack, y'all, and that's 2 bottles, and
Yeah.
it's just so easy.
Yeah.
It's cut out all the horse shit and just that's it.
Yep, simplifies.
Yeah. So I do have to ask the question, since we've had a little bit of wine here. What kind of music are you into?
Well, it's funny in the production because we have a lot of different age variations working back there, but
Right.
we always play classic rock as our go-to.
Okay.
It's something everybody loves. You got to have that upbeat, motivational music where
Right.
you're playing AC/DC in the morning and it's like
Yes.
getting the blood flowing, and
Exactly.
so classic
about
rock all
as
the
close to
way.
metal as you're going to get. Yeah. AC/DC.
We'll have to hear your stuff, and maybe we'll start playing that.
Well, exactly. Metal music, metal wine.
It all goes hand in
It's all
hand.
good.
Perfect pairing.
That's good. How can people get any one of your products? As far as like, do you guys ship? Is it something you can do online? Of course, this location here where we are, we're in the tasting room, Port of Leonardtown.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell
we
us a
always
little
tell,
bit about- yeah.
we always want people to come here, of course, and come see
Of
us
course.
and hang out. And we have a beautiful patio. You know, we tell people bring your dogs, bring your kids. Like, we're very family friendly.
Right.
Bring food and just hang out on our patio.
They
We like-
ship nationally or internationally?
If you jump on our
Interesting.
website, then it'll show you a breakdown of everywhere that we ship. Yeah.
Which
so.
this is a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, Southern
I mean,
Maryland
it's-
is amazing.
it's
It's
neat.
beautiful.
I mean,
Lots of history.
Proximity to DC. If y'all are ever in the DC area, I mean, there's just, of course, there's the political history, and you know, everybody thinks DC. They think of, I'm going to go do the Monument Walk, I'm going to do this and that. But there's so much beautiful countryside and just
Yeah.
different little areas that you can go. And
We're right
in Maryland and Virginia. And,
Leonardtown's right here. We have amazing restaurants and lots of like right on the water seafood places, which are pretty amazing. And you know,
Crab
we
cakes.
have the best crab cakes around, of course. And which the rosé would go great with too. So,
Of course,
yep.
of
And
course.
there's St. Mary's City, and just if you're like to be on the water, I mean, we're surrounded by water and lots of beaches and that kind of thing. So
Right.
it's a good spot to be. Well worth the drive.
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we have been here at the Port of Leonardtown Winery here in Southern Maryland with the lovely and talented Lauren Zimmerman. And thank you so much for your time. Thanks for showing
Yeah.
us everything. And we are going to continue to watch what you guys are doing in the canned wine world.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you soon.
Bye.